Hello everyone, Volfey here. Today we hit the very reservoir of Black Temples and Illidan's power and magic. Reliquary of Lost, or better known as Reliquary of Souls, further on referred to as Ross for obvious reasons. Three-faced boss, heavily inspired by the Sinistra, is spinning 3 times for 3 different fight phases in one encounter, so we will break it down phase by phase. Let's go!
Pain and suffering are all that await you.
Phase 1 is where we fight the essence of suffering. Abilities Ross uses are these. Aura of Suffering. Everyone has their healing received, HP regen and armor reduced by 100% and their defense decreased by 500 points. Can't escape it since it's an aura, of course. Fixate ability that lasts for about 5 seconds. Boss fixates and attacks one player that is closest to him in melee range. Distance is measured from core to core. Since there is no threat table, this ability controls who the tank is. Soul Drain is a magical debuff that drains 3k HP and 3k mana from 3 affected players, every 3 seconds for 30 seconds. It is crucial to dispel it ASAP. Enrage, every now and then, the boss enrages and deals 25% more damage and attacks 50% faster. It is safe to say that with limited HP and healing, this is a DPS race phase. For the tactics, have your tanks take turns in tanking the boss. Rest of the raid, nuke it as hard as you can. Priest Bubble Shield doesn't count as healing, so it works against incoming damage. Also, Divine Shield, Ice Block and Blessing of Protection won't stop the boss from attacking the target. If tanks drop too low or die, DPS can step in. Rogue, or if you have more of them, can step in with evasion to tank the boss when he enrages. Druids can use Bark Skin when tanking the boss, Hunters with Aspect of a Banana, and so on. If you have damage reduction ability, this is where you use it. Comments from 2007 claim that Dark Moon card Heroism works for some extra regen, but can't know for sure until someone actually gets it and tests it. Also, Troll's Racial apparently works as well, but that's nothing special. After defeating, the boss runs back to his cage and sends some ads while whopping his crying eyes. In between phases, non-elite ads attack the raid, easily killable, and upon death they regenerate 30% of mana and HP to all players in 15 yards radius.
You can have anything you desire for a price.
Phase number 2, Essence of Desire abilities. Aura of Desire now increases healing done by 100%, but all damage done to the boss will reflect 50% of the amount to a player in the shape of shadow damage. So it doesn't matter if you're a caster or a physical DPS, you will get shadow damage backlash. On top of that, it decreases your mana pool over time. Does not leech it, it just straight up makes it a smaller pool. A puddle. After 3 minutes, no one will have any mana to heal or DPS, and it will probably be a wipe. In this phase, the boss is casting a Deaden debuff which increases damage received by 100%. Luckily, it can be spell reflected, so it's in your best interest to use Protection Warrior for phase 2 tanking. Rune Shield is a spell that the boss casts on himself, absorbs 50,000 damage and prevents interrupts. Luckily again, mages can spell steal it and its huge DPS increase since it hastens casting speed by 100%. Don't fry yourself to death, or even worse, over aggro. It can be mana exhausting, so better to twist 2 mages spell stealing. Lastly, boss casts Spirit Shock quite often. And it hits quite hard, especially if the tank doesn't spell reflect Deaden, he is dead beef. Once again, luckily, rogues, warriors, shamans can interrupt it, and one lock can put Curse of Tongue to ease it on them. 2 players can interrupt every shock, rogue with PvP gloves can interrupt all of them. Hey, rogue can be actually useful, who would tell? After phase is over and boss is dead, there is another in-between phase and we progress into phase 3.
Beware, I live. So foolish.
Phase 3, Essence of Anger. Alright, we got him angry and now he's making us angry with Aura of Anger. Every player in the raid is receiving constant shadow damage that you can't evade. It gradually increases every 3 seconds by a certain percentage and it goes until a point where it's unhealable. So another DPS race. Luckily, as I said, he makes us angry as well. Players are doing more and more DPS gradually, increasing over time. Seath has 2 different effects. First one is Frenzy and increases boss attack speed by 100%. Second one is on the raid and increases the threat down by additional 200%. Seath occurs when tanks are swapped, or when someone over-aggros. Lasts only 10 seconds, so it's my advice to have the off tank run in first and then let main tank taunt off of him while the raid stands still for next 7 to 8 seconds to allow the main tank to build up a lot of threat, then go downtown with Bloodlust and DPS. Soul Scream is a Ross kind of cleave attack, so make sure only the tank is in front of the boss. Soul Scream drains mana and deals half of the drain amount as damage. Also drains rage and deals 100 times drained amount in damage. All damage is shadow and this happens every 10 seconds. Cannot be mitigated, so I suggest to tank it with Feral that dumps rage every 10 seconds with a simple shapeshift. Surely HP stacked Prot Warrior is viable if it can get rid of all rage. Last ability is Spite. It's casted on 3 random players, granting them immunity for 2 seconds. Then hits for about 7,500 nature damage, and then grants another 2 seconds of immunity. People will die here, FYI. Quick recap how to behave. Phase 1, no threat, no healing, burst down, change tanks. Phase 2, don't kill yourself, interrupt, spell steal, spell reflect. If you are low on HP, stop DPSing. Phase 3, burst, burst and burst. Heal and don't conserve resources. GG. Let's quickly go over the trash mobs you encounter here. Bone Chewer Blood Prophet resembles a lot to Blood Mage mob on the way to Terran. Drains HP to heal himself and casts Blood Bolt. Apart from that, he can debuff target with increased damage done and taken. Can be AoE tanked, just turn it away from the raid. Bone Chewer Shield Disciple is pretty much a Prot Warrior. On aggro pool, he will throw his shield and stun whoever aggroed him first. Back in the days, we used to use the Earth Elemental, and then taunt off and separate them. Does not cleave, but will intercept from time to time and interrupt with the Shield Bash. At about 20% or less, he will cast Shield Wall, so rather leave it for last, stun lock it before he gains Shield Wall and burst it down. Bone Chewer Blade Fury, even though he has only one ability, he is the most dangerous one. Whirlwinds with a wide range and hits quite frequently, so over-aggroing this one is a very bad idea. Take it out of the pack and CC or tank it. It's important to know that he is not CCable while he is whirlwinding. Hits for about 1,500 per second. Suffering, Hungering and Anger Soul Fragments are gauntlet mobs you just burst and push as fast as you can. Kite them till the middle stairs and kill them there. Nothing much to say about them except that they respawn every 15 seconds. They do cast spell damage abilities and in bad RNG they can nuke the tank. So push with all of your tanks at the same time. There are 2 more mobs shared with Bloodboil boss, so I'll mention them here. Bone Chewer Behemoth, not CCable at all, comes in 2 variations with Meteor and Comet or Stun and Charge. Enrages near death. Meteor ability is an AoE spell and it's capped, so you have more chances of surviving if you stack with other players and share the damage. If you're pulling this, make sure you pull it alone and kill it before proceeding. Lastly, you have Mutated Battle Wolf, which is by far the weakest of all mobs in the pack. Only mechanic these doggos possess is the infectious cloud they leave on the ground where they die. Playing Warcraft rule number 3, if there is something on the ground, don't stand on it, unless you know for sure you're supposed to. After dealing with Terran, you can either go to Ross or Bloodboil. I choose Ross just to break the cycle and introduce some free choice. It is basically the same. On a scale from 1 to 5, I'd give this boss 3.5. 3 phases with specific mechanics, hard-hitting abilities, and necessary raid coordination rate this boss as an above average difficulty. Thank you all for checking the Ross guide. Next time we go for Bloodboil. Stay safe and have fun playing the game. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.